Hello to you, our viewers. Welcome to this edition of the News in English. My name is Serish Nhore. We'll begin with the headlines. Rwanda and the Kingdom of Jordan have signed different memorandums of understanding to further strengthen the existing cooperation between the two countries for the benefit of their citizens. A plenary session in Rwanda's Senate has voted on and approved extradition agreements between Rwanda and Mozambique and Rwanda and Angola, respectively. Welcome again. Thank you for joining us. Rwanda and the Kingdom of Jordan have signed different memorandums of understanding to further strengthen the existing cooperation between the two countries for the benefit of their citizens. Prince Manzi with the details.
The President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, on Wednesday received the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Kingdom of Jordan, Ayman Safadi, who is in Rwanda for a 3-day working visit since Tuesday. Minister Ayman Safadi delivered a message to President Paul Kagame from His Highness King Abdullah II. This follows the visit of President Paul Kagame to the Kingdom of Jordan in March 2022, during which he held discussions with King Abdullah II.
I'm honored to be also carrying a message from His Majesty to His Excellency the President that would reaffirm Jordan's commitment to continue to work with Rwanda towards better cooperation in various fields. His Excellency and I have had the opportunity to conduct extensive talks in this first round of our strategic dialogue. As His Excellency said, we were able to sign today a number of agreements, which is only the beginning of what we know will be a long and fruitful path towards increasing cooperation among our two countries in all fields. We are keen on making sure that we have similar cooperation in other areas, in the areas of education, health, information technology, tourism, fertilizers, agriculture, and much more.
In the MOUs signed by these two states include political consultations, education and research, as well as waiving visa requirements for diplomats and service passports. These MOUs were signed by the Rwanda Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, and the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Kingdom of Jordan, Ayman Safadi. Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, points out that such agreements are an additional to the already existing cooperation in defense and security, especially in fighting terrorism.
We have been cooperating with Jordan in the security and defense sector. And among other things, we are exchanging intelligence on terrorist activities of these various groups operating on the African continent, but also they are operating in coordination with some other groups, terrorist groups, which are based in the Middle East, among others. So exchanging information is very important, but Jordan is also contributing to fighting terrorism in Mozambique. So we have been working with Jordan on fighting terrorism.
This was also emphasized by the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Kingdom of Jordan, Ayman Safadi.
Our military cooperation is solid. It includes training, share of expertise, and many other areas. That is, and our colleagues are engaged in discussing how they can further that cooperation as well. And as for the visit by His Excellency the President to Jordan, it was an extremely important visit that allowed for closer interaction between His Majesty and the President. We signed an MOU on political consultation that will allow us to regularly meet and set the agenda of future cooperation and to build on that which we have achieved. We'll also discuss the importance of looking at the possibilities of having direct flights between Jordan and Rwanda, because that will be an important also vehicle to encourage people-to-people and business-to-business interaction.
Rwanda is one of the countries in the Akaba process initiated by King Abdullah II of Jordan in 2015 that aims at developing both a shared understanding of the challenges posed by terrorism and for identifying solutions and creating networks that can help mitigate the risks it poses to international peace and security. This March, Rwanda will host a summit of East African countries that are part of the Akaba process, the first of its kind in Africa. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
A plenary session in the Senate has voted on and approved extradition agreements between Rwanda and Mozambique and Rwanda and Angola, respectively. With the details is Jessica Gasaro.
Extradition agreement between Rwanda and Mozambique was signed in Kigali on May 3, 2022, as well as the extradition agreement between the Republic of Rwanda and the Republic of Angola, including the extradition of perpetrators of the genocide against the Tutsi of 1994 and other crimes that are cross-border in nature. Minister of State in charge of Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Nyirahabimana Soline, expressed that Rwanda expects to benefit from this agreement with Mozambique, including extradition between the two countries accused or convicted of a crime punishable by at least 2 years of imprisonment committed by the requesting country. The agreement also stimulates that citizens cannot be extradited for trial in another country for the crime, and the other is that the requested country is the one who pays for what is done on its territory regarding the escorting of the suspect, and the country that requested the suspect is based on the requirement of the daily life of the suspect on the territory of the requested country in terms of transportation. Extradition of those accused of crime is also a part of the agreement between the Republic of Rwanda and the Republic of Angola. Minister of State in charge of Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Nyirahabimana Soline, said that it is about breaking the culture of impunity.
Igihugu cyacu kiyemeje kurwanya umuco wo kudahana. Ibyo kikabikora.
Our country is determined to fight the culture of impunity and do it through the courts of the accused wherever they are located, especially in this time where there is development in technology. Based on the emergency of a crime that are not normal and those that are normal take another step.
Ibyaha bitari bisanzwe.
The senator welcomes the content of this agreement and approved the basis of this legislation without going through the standing Senate committee.
He focused mainly on crimes in general, but in particular they focused on those suspected of committing genocide against the Tutsi living in Mozambique. I wonder if there is an agreement like that in Rwanda, and what if we find that Mozambique is not under those laws, or it wasn't included in their law in 1994 when the genocide against the Tutsi happened? Are they going to do anything to punish those who are being prosecuted for the crime of genocide? Or are these agreements going to be beneficial to us?
The extradition agreement between the Republic of Rwanda and the Republic of Mozambique was signed in Kigali 3 June 2022, and the agreement between the Republic of Rwanda and the Republic of Angola was signed in Kigali 15 April in 2022. And Rwanda continues to commit similar agreement with other countries in order to prosecute those who were involved in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Jessica Gasaro, RwandaTV News.
Survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi affirm that the measures put in place to preserve the history of the genocide against the Tutsi gives hope and confidence that what happened will never be forgotten. Preserving the history of the genocide against the Tutsi was one of the resolutions made at the National Mushikiwano Council of 2015. Jessica continues.
Uwitonze Beata is one of the survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi in Ruhango sector, Gasabo district. In this Ruhango sector, there was an Anglican church before the genocide. It has now become a memorial to the genocide against the Tutsi.
Urwibutso rero murabona uko rungana gutya ubundi nta rwari urusengero rw'abangirikani.
You can see how big this memorial is. It was a church of the Anglican, which is where we used to go to church too. It was the most obvious place to flee, and too many people were confident that they would survive in the church, but more than 15,000 people were killed.
Ariko byabaye ngombwa yuko haguyemo ibihumbi 15 bisaga.
Even though the journey to heal the wounds of the survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi continues, they are proud of how the history of the genocide has been preserved.
That's why I wish those of us who have knowledge and wisdom to write books so that what happened will not be forgotten.
There have been survivors who were young, but the children who came to study and graduated from university, masters, and among those who have survived, they have written books from the colonial times to the times of the genocide against the Tutsi. That is to make the history of the genocide against the Tutsi who lived in the Ruhanga sector never be forgotten. The executive secretary of the Umbrella Association of the Genocide Against the Tutsi Survivor Organization, Ibuka, Aishakie Naftar, pointed out that preserving memorial where genocide victims are buried will help young people to learn about the history of the genocide against the Tutsi.
In order to preserve history, there is the preservation of evidence of the genocide against Tutsi, and we find the preservation of monuments. There are about 220 monuments built in the country. Some are at the national levels, and others are at the regional level, and they help to teach history to young people, Rwandans and foreigners. Not only that, in order to preserve the history of the genocide, there are also the preservation of records.
There are things that have been done and things that needs to be done in order to preserve the history of the genocide against the Tutsi.
Here I'm talking about the testimony, I'm talking about the text, I'm talking about pictures, I'm talking about the testimony in the form of audio and video that will continue to be collected and preserved. This is the work we continue to do from 2004 up to now, and we are still doing it. In the archive department, we count more than 500 testimonies in audio and video, and we have another category that we call experience.
The record of Gacaca Court used in the administration of justice for many people reaching 43 million pages have been professionally processed. This in turn provides the confidence to live this history in a creative and lasting way.
About the documents, let me talk briefly about the Gacaca documents, where 43 million pages have been processed in scientific way, so that in the next 2 years, researchers will be able to use them. All the history we have kept, and we want to show it. It is not the monument. We have a house dedicated to Minibumwe, where they are going to be kept.
Preserving the history of the genocide against the Tutsi was one of the resolutions made at the National Umushyikirano Council of 2015. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Staying on the matter of atrocities, an organization dedicated to fighting for justice for those who have been affected by the atrocities currently being committed in North and South Kivu, as well as Ituri in the Democratic Republic of Congo, presented its findings on the investigations that were carried out on the crisis in the eastern DRC. Adam Squizera with more.
Acts of violence, harassment, and hate speech against the Rwandophone and the Tutsi ethnic in Democratic Republic of Congo have been escalating for decades. All these atrocities are done in the sights of DRC government, where even some of their leaders support these atrocities and terrorist groups which are behind all these acts. Through the findings from an investigation carried out by an organization dedicated to fighting for justice for those who have been affected by atrocities being committed in North and South Kivu, as well as Ituri of the Democratic Republic of Congo, indicated first the root cause of those issues.
This is a direct result of the manipulation of the colonial borders by Europeans during the scramble of Africa in the 19th century. So separating members of the same communities into distinct national territories. So this is no longer debated. Thus, the current situation of persecution of the Banyamulenge, the Congolese Tutsi, and the Hema stems from the continuation of the colonial racist ideology, which sees this minority as an imagined group of invaders. Hence, interest-driven racist politics, while it serves a political purpose, is used to persecute and ethnically cleanse a targeted group of Congolese citizens.
And the Tutsi are in North Kivu more broadly considered as being part of the Banya Rwanda community. That is a term that is used to refer to people considered to have originally come from Rwanda, but there are of course problematic associations with that term itself. But what we are emphasizing today is that the term itself is a social construct from or as a legacy of the colonial era, where Tutsi were constructed in the eyes of different societies, different perpetrators of violence, different repressors, as invaders and exploiters of other groups of people in the region. So with this very complex history that you can see on the screen, the key takeaway is that the legacy of colonial rule and also the after effects of the post-colonial regime under the rule of dictator Joseph Mobutu has been to construct and continue to construct Tutsi as outsiders and as repressors. And these different communities, known often as Rwandophones or Banya Rwanda, are often banded together and associated as being a collective that are a threat or are seen as a threat to other members of the Congolese population.
This investigation also shone its findings on the propaganda of some political leaders in DRC who caused residents to take actions in those violent acts targeting Rwandophone and Tutsis, plus the collaboration of the DRC government and the genocide militia FDLR.
You have quite a number of examples that I had here about people directly calling people to be killed. This is one of what I said, for example, in the Haut Plateau area. We go to Minembwe, we'll clear that. We go to Uvira and Haut Plateau and clear that. But also, one of the most known video, of course, when it comes to a recent event in North Kivu, this deputy commissioner of police, basically, who tells everyone to go and take a panga and be part of a popular war. The Banyamulenge or Tutsi in general are not Congolese. Everyone who reads Congolese social media today, that argument is repeated probably today, and I'm probably not exaggerating, on a daily basis by quite a number of actors. The Banyamulenge are not Congolese. There's not such a thing as a Congolese tribe in Banyamulenge. If you go to Tervuren, you will never find that one. And that is repeated again. Remember what I said about agency, by different actors at different levels of society. It's repeated by political leaders. So, for example, one of the captions you have there up, it's a video that you can find on YouTube with Fayulu saying the Banyamulenge n'existe pas. And of course, others such as Kwebe Kimpele, mindful of the time. The second theme is that the Banyamulenge and Tutsi are greedy, and their ambition in the DRC is to control Congolese lands and resources and establish a Tutsi-Hima empire.
This organization, through its findings on the investigation carried out on the crisis in the eastern DRC, noted that there should be taken immediate actions to stop genocide which may rise in this region.
This simple fact of having genocide perpetrators fugitives at large creates the occasion for a global-scale genocide ideology to spread. This group of génocidaires and their offspring, rebaptized in the Congo as FDLR, have become the primary destabilizing and most heavily armed group in Eastern Congo, with direct impact on the entire Great Lakes region. The implicit mission of FDLR and this anti-Tutsi armed group coalition is to continue the ethnic cleansing of the Tutsi wherever they are. This ongoing violence and the 3 decades-long genocide ideology has led to the mass internal displacement of several million people, including close to 100,000 refugees in Rwanda, with now over 100 Congolese refugees fleeing into Rwanda every day.
It's been 9 months in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo since the fighting between FARDC and the M23 rebel group intensified again, whereas most of the residents are fleeing and running away from the tragic killings that have continued to escalate, as to some videos of those atrocities have been circulating on social media. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for that report. Moving on, after the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, research established that there are irregularities committed by different accountants. It is, be it intentionally or not, it has now organized trainings with the aim of improving the skills of professional accountants. Prince Manzi with more on that.
Different professional accountants in both public and private entities were convened in for these trainings say that these trainings are helping them in addressing their challenges.
usanga amabwiriza rimwe na rimwe abarimo amategeko barimo na rimwe.
We usually find that the rules and regulations always change, and it is in accordance with the country's goal of using professional accounting and aligning with rules and regulations set. So these trainings are helping us to address different challenges that we face daily for the funds to be used efficiently. Emiko Nizeyimana of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants Rwanda states that according to the international regulations, these accountants are to work professionally as measurements were set for them to access everything they need for their work to be effective.
Icyo tubasaba by'umwihariko ni ukwitoza gukora kinyamwuga.
We request them to work professionally to prevent mistakes found in the ICPAR research of May to July 2022. We brought skillful trainers to provide them with skills that will make their audits effective.
Ubumenyi bufatika bwo kubafasha kugira ngo bagende bakore audit neza.
The Institute of Certified Public Accounts Rwanda states that the research conducted last year in 53 entities, 23 of them were penalized, a prompt to strengthening professionalism in this sector.
As always, thank you so much for joining us for this edition, and goodbye.